Hi there, it's Bren here and welcome back to this week's garden update. I noticed I had a few new subscribers this week. Welcome to my gardening channel, and I really look forward to sharing my gardening journey with you, especially over the next few months now as the weather warms up and there will be a lot more to show you in the garden. Well, I got a call from the council this week. They've set a date for the judges coming out for the competition, which will be next Wednesday. And those of you who don't know, I've entered the local garden competition for the first time this year, and I am so nervous, but I really believe that you should put yourself out there and step out of your comfort zone. So yeah, they're coming next Wednesday, and as you can imagine, I have been so busy getting the garden ready, and I've been putting together a lot of upcycle projects that I've had in my head, the easier ones to do, and I've been getting creative this week, and I'll share all of them with you. And also there are quite a few Australian native plants in bloom at the moment, and we'll take a look at them as well. So let's get straight into the video now. Here's the long 15-meter garden bed that I have out the front, and you can see there that there's lots of flowers. Those orange flowers are the Californian poppies. These ones self-seeded from last year, and I noticed I have a few more little seedlings popping up here and there. So in a few months' time, these little ones that are dotted around the place will be nice and full and packed with flowers. But for the moment, some of the plants in here that are really like putting on a lovely display of flowers are actually some Australian natives. Like this one here, this is the Australian native Mintbush, and you can see there that it has these lovely little mauve flowers, and the smell of the foliage is beautiful. And here beside the Californian poppies is an old doll's cot that I popped over this plant, this lovely daisy plant, which I think makes a nice combination, especially with these little small flowers poking through the frame. This Australian native Pigface seems to be very happy in this position. As you can see there, the plant is starting to creep over onto the driveway. So not only do I have the other driveway blocked up with mulch, there's this one here blocked up with this. And you can see there that these have huge big blooms. And with this plant, it's actually, the entire plant is edible. So you have these thick, fleshy, succulent type leaves that when you just snap them open there, you can see the cross section looks like a triangle, and it's just full of moisture. Here's a couple of better examples of the flowers, and if I put my hand up against it, you can see how huge they are. It's a wonderful plant to have in the garden, and this one here has so many flower buds on it. Hopefully by next week it will be covered in these flowers. And right up here beside that plant is another Australian beauty, that's silver foliaged silver emu bush. Now this is actually one of the most expensive plants that I've ever bought in the garden. It cost me $50, and I had to think about it for a week, which is ridiculous because in the past I would spend $50 on just like a top. If you brush your hands along the foliage, it's just so soft and feathery with all of these lovely mauve flowers. So this plant is actually from Western Australia, and the reason why it's grafted to grow here is that the conditions in the east coast of Australia isn't ideal for this plant, so grafting it just makes it possible for us to be able to grow it. So I really love in this garden bed just putting in a mixture of plants. I tend to not mass plant in this section because I'm a bit of a plant addict, and whenever I see a new one, I love to try it out, some seeds, or if I can get a cutting off someone. And here you can see just up there That frame I made this week. It's a trellis, and I actually made it out of an old water hose that was leaking, and I just cut it up and I threaded some wire through it and put it onto this frame, which is an old fly screen frame, and I'm quite happy with how it has turned out there. Another thing that I quite like about this area is this combination of plants. So this is catmint, and beside the catmint I planted some evening primrose, and you can see there's one in flower. So it's a very soft pink flower, and I can see lots of flower buds on this as well. And if I just take this one off so you can see, if you put this up against the catmint, you can see that the colour combination there is just stunning. They really complement each other. This part of the garden is just starting to wake up, and all the flowers, it's incredible. So I have some more Pigface down there, and you can see I've got some bearded irises just along here, and one of them actually opened up this week. Oh, there's a soccer ball in there, of course, from the kids, and there's a whole load of foxgloves over this way. There's a whole sea of African daisies. And these plants here, which I believe are Japanese irises. But there is a little project I worked on over there that I want to take a closer look at. Let's go along this pathway past those Japanese irises and down here past some more daisies and nasturtiums over to this little garden feature here, which basically what I'm trying to achieve, I don't know if you can figure it out, is those milk carton lids are meant to represent like water flowing out of that watering can. I do collect the milk carton lids because at the preschool they use them for different art and crafts, and I decided to hold on to some of them and use them in this feature. So again, I just used some wire, I threaded it through that watering can. This sign is completely me. So this week on my Instagram account, Gigi the Garden Girl, I put a question out there asking had anyone any good suggestions for signs in the garden, and a couple of people came up with this, and the minute I read it I knew it was just perfect for me. So I made this sign using some old fridge magnets, and it's just gone on to a shovel that I picked up for free. And you can see the azaleas there in the background are starting to bloom, which I'm quite happy with because last year they hardly flowered at all. Let's head now over to the front door because the flower displays in the pots there look very different now. So you can see here beside the Australian tree fern are some containers popped here by the front door. And a few weeks ago I showed you them, and they contained some annuals and they just weren't doing well here at all, so I changed it up a bit. I still have some pansies in pots and one up there as well, but I moved some bromeliads into these containers which were hidden under a tree, and I just dug them up and popped them in here along with some succulents as well. And hopefully now in a few weeks time these plants will get nice and established. I'm over here where the raised garden beds are to show you that finally those red tins have been mounted up onto the fence, and most of them have succulents in them. So let's go and take a closer look at them. Lots of colour in these beds here, from the Johnny Jump violas and the orange stems of the chard, which looks like it's going to go to flower soon, and these yellow flowers too of the calendula. If you come over this way, look what's after opening up this week. My first cornflowers. There's a few there, and look at all the buds on that one. But let's go over here before I get carried away as usual and look at these containers. I'm almost finished with this, so I popped in some succulents into the containers, and you know what, after doing that some of them just got so heavy that the wire that I put around I'll show you in here. See the way I've got the wire that I used to wrap the tins onto the frame? It just wasn't strong enough, so on some of them, like this one here, I had to use a cable tie. So I still have a bit more work to go on this, but I'm happy with how the red looks against the fence. We're going to head down to the very back of the garden where the chickens are, past all these lovely peony poppies and past the greenhouse, down to the very back where you can see those purple flowers along the fence line. We'll go under this archway that has the fan covers over the top and into this section. I haven't actually done much work on this, so this is my new area, my new project for this year, where I'm going to plant all my tomatoes and put some cut flowers in here as well. And to be honest, I just haven't really got around to doing much more work in here since I've been so busy trying to get the garden nice and tidy for when the judges come out. But look what you can see over there. Here's the Westringia tree, and the scent of it, it's so overpowering, but in such a good way. And this plant here that's managed to wrap itself around the fence line must be, oh, decades old. Look who's down here. Hey girls. This is our chicken run area, and that's why I like them being in here, because in the summertime they get lots of shade from this plant. And this plant grows really well in Australia. It seems to be very, very hardy. Last year when we were going through the bad drought, didn't get many flowers, but it's really making up for it this year with all of these blooms. It just absolutely loves this full sun position. You couldn't ask for a better plant for such a huge floral display. Well, the girls are happy pecking around here, and it's time for me to head off now because I still have lots of jobs to do. One of the big ones this week will be mowing the grass and edging, just making everything look extra nice. You gonna say hi to everyone? Are you, Fudgy? Well, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all again next Friday.